In this special episode, we take you into the fascinating world of music archaeology. Our guest, Gonzalo Rodriguez, a visiting scholar from Cusco, Peru, and an expert in the field, shares his findings and experiences from over a decade of research. He reports on his examination of the flute collection of the Ethnological Museum in Mannheim and demonstrates the ancient Peruvian flutes he has created. What sparked your interest in music archaeology?
Well, I started my connection with archaeological instruments since 2013, and basically it was with a person that make kind of reconstructions or imaginations about the archaeological instruments from Peru. In this case, the first instrument that were recreated in Peru were from the collection of the National Archaeology and Anthropology Museum of Lima in Peru. And we have the first archaeomusicology project in Lima that is called Guayajepa. So this project was the first project of reconstruction of instruments. I just get into this person and he shows me how these instruments like sound. I was a kid in that day at the days. I just like to play them, but not into like a research itself. It was like not so serious than now. But anyway, he introduced me to these things, and then afterwards, in the pandemic, I start like looking for some things that I really like. For example, archaeological instruments again, because I was studying other kind of music like Arabic music and well Irish music, but I just looked for some archive that I had in my laptop or and in my computer, and I found these photos that I used to take, and yeah, I started looking. Like I really, to be honest, I don't remember how I started liking so much, but I remember that all the pandemic I was reading about all these topics. My first research, a researcher, independent researcher, was in an archaeological place that is called Huaycán de Cieneguilla, that it's 40 minutes from the city, and it was like an Inca residence in Lima, and they found 3 flutes. Just start like working with that flutes. Like I make my own method of making a research of them. And after that, I said, okay, I really like this work. I really like it because since I was a kid, I made flutes. I started in school making instruments since I have 12 years old, I think. And because of that, I really like that work. I started visiting some other museums, private collections, and basically that year, 2021, I participated in the first International Archaeomusicology and Ethnomusicology festival with with a research that I made from another place that I've been. And after that was my first trip to Germany in Berlin Museum. That is basically my alma mater in that. I started researching like their whole collection is one of the most biggest collection of archaeological instruments from Peru, I think, in the world. But after that, I just was like a normal researcher, and when I start showing my work to, for example, Adjebol, that is my master, and he is one of the unique archaeomusicology, recognized as an archaeomusicologist. I show my work to him, and I told him, okay, where can I study archaeomusicology? Because I am really interested in that. So he told me, okay, you make field work, you make theoretical work, you make reconstruction. So that is, I think, for you right now, you are an archaeomusicologist. So from that day, I just recently started calling me an archaeomusicologist.
How would you explain the field of music archaeology to someone who has never heard of it?
Wow, well, it's archaeomusicology is a very scientific field. But it's very unique because it mix music that is an art that everybody is involved to, even if you're not a musician, and archaeology. Maybe some persons heard about it, maybe excavations, I don't know, depend of the country. But I can say that is the study of archaeological instruments that have archaeological contexts, and just to it's a huge satisfaction when you just listen to an instrument that didn't sound for 800 years, for even 5,000 years. So it's a huge satisfaction how you can reconstruct that instrument or make the instrument sound. So I can tell that archaeomusicology is reviving the sound of ancient cultures and show to the world how these instruments sounds and how the music in the times made possible sound.
How did you become aware of the flute collection of the Reiss-Engelhorn Museum?
Oh wow, it's a very random story because I was researching in Schaffhausen in Switzerland. Bernard Ruth Hauser, that is, he's the curator of the collection. He told me, "Oh, you like our collection, but I know a bigger collection." So it's like he shows me the book of Ellen Hickman. It's called Klange Alt-Amerikas, I think. Well, it's in German, so. But anyway, he showed me the book, and I saw the book, and he told me, "Oh, they have a really amazing collection. You should visit it." He told me, "Oh, it's called Reiss-Engelhorn-Museum." But he told me that I think that some cast was changing. I don't know, and he told me you should try to send them an email and just see what happened. But in that time, I was busy with Schaffhausen, and we were also making the first concerts in Berlin. So basically, I don't have so many times to write an email or maybe just visit the city. But afterwards, I just reached the contact of Corinna Eckenbrecht. So I think that's how I ended here.
What special features or surprises did you discover when examining the collection?
I can say that any collections have a unique feature. In this case, Mannheim collection, it's a very unique collection because it's not so big as other collections, but the quality of the instruments are really amazing. So I can say that the instruments that I saw in Reiss-Engelhorn Museum, I really never saw in other collections. For example,
What are the first steps in reproducing an antique flute?
well, it's I have like a method. I can say it's I divide it in two: the theoretical work and the practical work. The theoretical work is coming to the museum, make all the exact measures, yes, record the instrument, take a lot of photos and see what is better. Just make a catalog, small catalog, maybe for the museum and maybe for yourself. And just with the photos, of course, you can stay in the museum forever. Just hypothesize how this could work, and with all the evidence that we have about how other artifacts from the same materials of, for example, an instrument were made. So taking that evidence and just made the reconstructions of the instruments, and after that, looking for the materials, for example, the bamboo, the reed, the clay, the bone, the gold, the silver, the metals, just to make the instruments handmade, not like as we called industrial, so much in mass, in maze, instrument maze. Just make just the instrument and focus on one instrument and just with that work, you can understand how the instrument work inside and outside.
How do you deal with missing information when reconstructing a flute?
Well, it's very hard because this work is very, very out of information. But basically, I can take evidence of similar instruments and make that similarity part of an instrument with the features of the instrument that I want to make. For example, I have one here. It's a whistling bottle. But basically, the original have only these two bodies, these two chambers, and only this pipe. But the missing part is this pipe and the hanger. But actually, most of the Inca wisdom bottles have the same pipe and the same kind of hanger. With all that evidence of other wisdom bottles that I saw in other museums, I just make a reconstruction, an hypothetical reconstruction of how the pipes look and how the hanger look, because we have evidence that the hanger was like square shaped, and the square shaped hangers were like these ones. But I don't make any iconography because I am not sure if the hanger have iconography or not. But we have evidence of that these pipe have this circle shape end, and they use the same color as the other one. So basically, this is an example of how I can work with no information, specifically in practical work.
Can you show us some more of your replicas and play maybe also on them for us?
Yeah. Well, this is a flute. It's called end-blown flute. Mostly popular called as quena, because quena means flute in Quechua. But all these kind of flutes in Peru are called quena. But in fact, we don't know how these instruments were called. For example, in the culture that was made, this flute is from Chimu culture, with Chancay also influence. And the most amazing thing of this instrument is the iconography, because all the instrument itself is covered of iconography. So basically, the work itself to make iconography is amazing, and to see the original instrument is just, its tuning is exquisitely beautiful. And I choose this instrument because I love to work the iconography and see what iconography tells us. So this instrument may possibly used for rituals, or were used for a person that was very important at that time, because most of the instruments that have iconography were from the elite persons. So this iconography is related to the ocean. The ocean were so important in the Chimu mythology. So we can say that these instruments were used for by a very important person, maybe a priest, into this kind of, maybe their music. We don't know what kind of music they had, but at least we know that the music was very important part of the culture itself. Music was present in every activity of the culture. So we can say that this instrument was part of a very important celebration, and were played by a very important person. So, yeah, okay. timbre, but also it's very curious because it have, at least the first note, have very similar scale or intervals with the Native American flute, but there's always something to study about only one instrument, so every instrument is a word, so you can take even years to study only one instrument. It's my favorite instrument in the world right now because I took like 3 weeks to make this instrument. It's a small pan flute with very exquisitely decorations of cotton, llama fur. There is also a feather. And the original, just when I saw it, I just fall in love with that instrument. I just was impressed about its beauty. I said, okay, I need to reconstruct this instrument, and it was very difficult because I passed like 2 or 3 months in front of my computer to see how can I develop especially this, because this technique of making the instrument just stay like that, I knew it from other pan flutes that I made, but this one I never made such a big work in this kind of field. For example, making the cotton decoration, how to get the llama fur, and the instrument itself is beautiful. It's super beautiful, super stunning. And this instrument, I have the hypothesis of they were using Hapakocha ritual, that everything was minimalistic, everything. The Hapakocha is a ritual when the Incas go to a very specific place that they consider sacred and they sacrifice kids. So everything that was related to that sacrifice and that offering was super small. All the figures of gold and silver, all the uncus, all the decorations were super small but super defined and very beautiful. So this instrument have very unique features that make me think that it could be used for that purpose. So yeah, of course it sounds like. So many persons ask me why these instruments or this kind of instruments have 2 lines of pipes. Basically, it's because nowadays we have an instrument very similar that is called zampoña, that you play that you play the 2 lines, like a chromatic instrument is a contemporary instrument. You can play everything in that instrument, but in this case, pre-Hispanic or archaeological pan flutes with resonators, we call it that, antara con resonador in Spanish. The second line works as an amplifier, as a natural amplifier. So if I play like normal blowing into this pipe, just make the sound of the single pipe that I play, but the blowing just make the air go into the second pipe and make this dissonance. And that is what is amazing of the pre-Hispanic instruments, that they were built to make a special dissonance that for Western music is called out of tune, but in the work of pre-Hispanic cultures, that dissonance or batimiento, we call it, was a perspective of tuning that they were looking for. So they were looking for that dissonance, and that dissonance means something, because sound was also a very important element for the rituals. So This instrument, yes, of course, if somebody are very used to classical music, if they listen to this scale, said, okay, wow, why so different? Because that scale where look and search for from the Hispanic cultures. This scale where what is unique and where looked for this person that make this instrument. So well, my favorite instrument actually that I research is in Mannheim. So I can say that the work to make this instrument also teach me not only how the instrument sounds, but how and why the instrument works. So also I just feel the experience of making the main thing that the maker of this instrument made 500 or 600 years ago. So it's an amazing experience. Then I have the whistling bottle that I showed earlier. This is Inca whistling bottle. Of course, the pan flute that I showed earlier is from Inca culture, but this one is very unique because the whistling bottle from Inca period are so unique. I mean, every whistling bottle from the culture itself are unique and have a very specific range of sound. For example, Biku's whistling bottles and Moche whistling bottles are very low, but the Inca whistling bottles or late whistling bottles are very loud, very high. So this is this sound object, because it's not a musical instrument, have a very like a monkey here decoration, but the sound of this whistling bottle is so this the chamber and also the pipe that connects the chamber make a specific acoustic effects. For example, if I would make this connect pipe longer, the sound will be super long, like maybe 10 or 15 seconds. But it's because this chamber is so close between the two chambers that sound is very very short, and it's made on purpose because this sound in very close areas, this sound it's really powerful. Of course, if you also take hallucinogenous plants like ayahuasca or San Pedro, and that bubbling sound is because of the chamber, because this kind of union pipe is made for making this kind of sound. The other one, last one is this whistling bottle. It's a whistling bottle that represents a bird, maybe a seagull or maybe a hawk. But compared to the thinking of the whistling bottles don't make the sound of the animal that they are representing. They make a specific sound. It's like a specific sound of a very unique bird that yes, you can find in all the coastline of Peru. It's called huerequeque, and this bird make really similar sound from this instrument or sound object. So also because it's very paced, very close between the two chambers, make this bubbling sound. So if you shake it, also make a very unique sound, but it depends how you perform this sound object. Talking about the whistling bottles, there are no musical instruments, there are sound objects, because there's no evidence that these objects were used in music. They were used in special rituals where the sound and water were an important subject into the ritual. So maybe these persons use this sound just to enter in a species of trance, because when you just drink hallucinogenous plants like ayahuasca, for example, your feelings, you just get so sensitive. So if you really heard this sound very close to you, can change your experience completely with ayahuasca, for example. So that vibration really makes your trip into ayahuasca very different. This sound can really affect your trip. So that's why these persons use these sound objects to just change the perspective of the trip that you are having with ayahuasca.
What future projects are you planning?
Well, as an archaeomusicologist, we have a very big project coming soon. We are going to make 5 articles of the entire collection of Berlin Museum. It's going to be the first group of articles talking about specifically about the Berlin collection instruments. All the measures, all the iconography, all the sounds, and talking about how these instruments evolve. We are separating the articles with the specific kind of instruments. Bone flutes, transverse flute, end-blown flutes, pan flutes, whistling bottles, trumpets, shakers, drums, whistles, globular flutes, and so on. So we are making different articles for that, and also making some concerts and making reconstructions of these instruments and working with different museums, also in Peru, just to have. I have a very specific work or house of gabe that is, these instruments can't be in Peru anymore. So everybody that wants to know about the instruments, being a researcher or not, you have to come here to Germany. So not everybody have a chance to come to Germany in Peru. So my work here and my compromise is to make as exact as possible the instruments, and say, okay, this is a reconstruction of the instrument that is in Mannheim, Schaffhausen, Hildesheim, Berlin, and bring the exact information to Peru and show this, okay, this instrument is like this, and sounds like this. So this is my main work, to show the Peruvians how amazing is their own culture and what Europeans have about our culture, because European museums have a lot of information. So most of the archaeomusicologists that wants to start in this field need that information, because it's a very specific information. So that's why my compromise to the persons is to make as close as possible the replicas and the reconstructions of the instruments that are from Europe and bring that information to Peru. And this is my main object. Go back to Peru, make the reconstructions of more whistling bottles, more instruments. I will start making gold and silver instruments. Yeah, that is my main work, and I think that is a whole life work that never ends, so I am happy about that. As you can see, I show some instruments. And I invite you to visit the instrument collection of Reiss-Engelhorn-Museum, and you can see all the music models that you can see in all this collection. And of course, I will make soon the reconstructions of the instruments that are in the exhibit, because the instruments that I show were from the depot. But soon I will show the sound and I will make the reconstructions of these instruments, and I will show them how they sound.